Everyone is calling for the banning of Arcum's Astrolabe in Modern, but in reality, I think it is bringing balance to the format in Modern. Everyone, this is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and I would like to share an opinion that has been just growing on me over time as I watch the metagame evolve and change, and in my opinion, get more diverse and more rich as time goes on, and that is Arcum's Astrolabe is balancing the entire format in the color pie. Now, before we get into that, I would like to start by talking about how, in the beginning, Arcum's Astrolabe, everyone hated it. Everyone absolutely hated this card because it was basically slotted immediately into the Wurza decks. And, Arcum's Astrolabe plus Mox Opal means any deck that wants to play this combination of cards has access to all 5 colors. They can play whatever the hell they want in the sideboard, and basically almost anything they want in the main deck. Really powerful combination. But now that after the banning of Mox Opal, we are now seeing a richer number of archetypes in the metagame. Now, I understand that people still, and it is true, that it is destroying Blood Moon. Blood Moon is not a good card in Modern anymore, but is that such a bad thing? It's got pluses and minuses, all right? A lot of people hate Blood Moon. They hate that it just cripples their deck. I can sort of understand. I hate Ensnaring Bridge. Not to say I have no answers to it, but my God, when Ensnaring Bridge hits the battlefield, my Merfolk can't attack. I can't do crap. It's basically a 1-card win condition. So I understand that the deck's weak to Blood Moon. They hate Blood Moon. My God, you just completely shut off their strategy. Anything that they can do, just ruined because this enchantment says that all their mana is red and they can't use that mana whatsoever. Arcum's Astrolabe has completely changed that, made Blood Moon a lot weaker. The disadvantage is that the big mana decks are now really strong because a lot of decks now, they can't run Blood Moon. Even the Blood Moon decks basically can't run Blood Moon. They can't run it in the main deck, and they have to run very few copies in the sideboard because there just aren't that many archetypes vulnerable to that sort of strategy. So if you can't run Blood Moon, or Blood Moon effective decks can't be around, then the Tron decks and the Amulet decks are showing a lot of strength right now in Modern. But now, I want to talk about the effect Arcum's Astrolabe has had on the color pie. Because if you really look at the history of Magic, or the history of Modern, the color pie is super narrow. Well, where's the card? We need a card here. We need any card. I'm gonna take this one. Let's just take. We're gonna use the bunny of waves, but I just need an example, the template on the back. So what combinations we've got here? We've got Boros. We've seen Boros before in Modern, in Burn. We've seen Blue-White Control. Blue-White Control can beat Blood Moon because you just fetch out the basics very early on. You design your deck to beat Blood Moon. Doesn't have any problem. We've got Jeskai, which can take a similar role like that, fetch out the basics, but at least can use some of the red mana. What else do we have? Naya sometimes was played in Burn. I mean, even if you Blood Moon them, I mean, they're basically going to cast a lot of their spells. Anyway, we've seen a lot of Rakdos, Mardu, Jund. Now, Jund is not super thrilled about seeing a Blood Moon, but does have spells that they can play through a Blood Moon. And in addition to that, at least Golgari has answers to permanents like enchantments, in the form of Abrupt Decay. So basically they have some answers. Even if it resolves, you just float the mana and destroy the damn thing. What else do we've got here? So like Rakdos, Mardu. And I mean, dominantly, Modern that's been Modern. Dominantly for the entire existence, that the entire history of Modern has looked like that. And let me ask you, where the hell where's Bant? Where the hell was Simic? Where was Esper? Where was Orzhov? Dimir, Sultai? Where did those decks exist in the metagame? They didn't. A big problem is that they have to face Blood Moon, and there's like no good reason to take that risk. And now that risk has been completely mitigated by Arcum's Astrolabe. And now we are seeing new archetypes we have never seen before. And make no mistake, there have been some powerful cards printed to push them in that direction. You know, we look at, for example, the Bant control deck, that they now have access to Uro. We look at Bant Stoneblade, they have access to Ice Fang Quaddle. And these archetypes also have access to Veil of Summer. Now, Veil of Summer, definitely a big push, but I don't think it would be big enough if it wasn't for Arcum's Astrolabe. We're starting to see Sultai control, Dimir control, thanks to Arcum's Astrolabe. Or like even not, maybe not necessarily Dimir control, but Dimir decks. Urza has now shifted to a strictly Dimir role, maybe a little bit of a splash otherwise. And we don't see Esper yet, we don't see Orzhov, but it's only a matter of time, I think, before we start seeing those portions of the color pie come up. But what we're now seeing is that Modern is becoming more rounded in the color pie, the strategies. I can understand the Rakdos Golgari Jund-like community that has had a stronghold on Modern for such a long time, now getting pushed by these new green mid-range decks, these new green control decks, running, you know, these hosers like Veil of Summer, and there's no Blood Moon in the format to push those decks away, to really push them far into a corner and make them unplayable. Now they're very, very playable, and they are here to stay. And I can only say that Arcum's Astrolabe really brought these decks to life, because they run absolutely no risk going in these colors, these directions. And it's possible that we're going to see maybe a little bit more Esper and Orzhov in the future, because the Blood Moon decks have been suppressed given the presence of Arcum's Astrolabe. I don't even know if it is even necessary for future archetypes to run Arcum's Astrolabe when the Blood Moon decks have been suppressed so far. There was a Smallpox finish not too long ago, Orzhov. Maybe this is its time to really shine. I know Smallpox is not a new archetype, however, it's never been a like really big player dominant archetype. I mean, so like some people might say, oh, Nikachu, there's been tokens. Come on, that was a pony deck. It never had any like real success. Do you remember the tokens deck that won a GP? No, it never happened. So I mean, some of these archetypes have existed, but never had any strong tournament results. But maybe we can now. Maybe we can see the Orzhov stuff come back, or like actually have a chance in today's metagame. Is Arcum's Astrolabe a well-designed card? Probably not. I think the idea is right. I think it is good that you have this 1 mana card that helps you filter for basically the mana that you need. The problem might be because you draw the card immediately. Like, there's something off. We all know that this card is like really, really good, and maybe it should be taken down a peg a little bit in design. Maybe the draw should have been delayed. Maybe it shouldn't have been any color, and it should have been like an Astrolabe for a specific range of colors, maybe 2 or 3 that you would have access to. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how this card could have been a little bit more fair, but I think the idea was right. Being able to dodge Blood Moon, or at least give yourself some game after a Blood Moon has resolved. That is the purpose of Arcum's Astrolabe. I think it is a very... It didn't look good at first because of all the other artifact-centric cards that it came with. The fact that it came with Urza, and the fact that there was already still Mox Opal in the format. And it created just this disgusting monster that something had to be banned. If anything, I'm happy. Urza and Astrolabe, they finally got this damn thing gone. Thank you, Urza. We all owe it to Urza. But Arcum's Astrolabe was just stuck in a really bad crowd, and I think it does a lot I think it does a lot more good than bad for the format. We might hate Tron and Amulet But in reality, I think the lack of Blood Moon in the format, or at least decks that now have some protection, a way to hedge against Blood Moon, have now flourished. We're now going to see a new breed of archetypes that never existed in Modern. Versions with green. We're going to see mid-range green. We might start seeing Bant. We might start seeing more Simic. We might see more of those portions of the color pie to exist in Modern. So I think Astrolabe actually is a good thing for Modern, and I do not know if this card really is worthy of being banned. But anyway, that's my opinion. Take it or leave it. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. This has been Nikachu, Merfolk Master, talking about Arcum's Astrolabe's balancing act in Modern.